All right. Hello, everybody. It has been a while since I have done Manifest Monday, and I'm so excited that I am back and I have a time now that I don't have to go somewhere. That's why we're going to do this series that you see at the bottom. We are going to be doing a series for June and July. I was moved on the heart by the Lord to do a series about change and the benefits of it because we don't like change, but there are some benefits. And over the next 2 months, we're going to talk extensively about change and the benefit of it. I'm so glad to everybody check on. How you doing, Pastor Bettina? Check on in. I see Troy. I see Liz. I see Tammy. I see Leah. Who I see over here? I see Henrietta. I see Daisy. Anissa. All right. Hello, everybody. Oh, no sound? Let me see what the problem with the sound is. All right. They said there's no sound. I got everything. The mic is on. All right, anybody else can't hear? I know Daisy says that there's no sound. Anybody else cannot hear? Come on, check in. Let me know because I have everything up. I don't know what would be the problem. I'm trying to find out to make sure. All right, there we go. All right, you have sound. All right. I can hear you fine. All right, Judge. All right, I want to make sure. Hello there, Terrence. All the way vacationing somewhere. I know you're having a good time, Jerron. Thank you for being on. All right, everybody. Talati Daddy and Danielle, everybody, you have been recognized. I want to talk to you today about change. You can see it right there and the benefits of it. Nothing in this life is permanent as change. Using the paradoxical transformation, truth transformed my life. It protected me when I was young. It helped me guide me as an adult. And change is a natural to existence and common to all creation. Excuse me. Everything is in a constant state of change, and nothing can stop it. Everything is in a constant state of change from yesterday to the day. Today, we was up to about 100 and I think almost 110. I walked outside and I thought I walked into the sauna and the sauna at the gym or something. It was just that hot. It was steaming. It wasn't steaming. It was that sauna heat that just penetrates you. So nothing stays same. I mean, you can look at your life from last year, this time to this year. Nothing has a steady state. Everything is in change, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. Because change is both evident that we're alive and proof that we're finite. Change is both evident that we are alive and proof alive rather, and proof that we're finite. Why? What do I mean by that? It means change happens because we're part of life. And it also let us know that change happens because we're finite. You know, this past Saturday, I watched the homecoming of my dear member who comes during the summer, Mother Ruby, and that allowed you to see that just showed me about the finite of life. We wake up, we go to bed at night, and we automatically make the assumption that we're going to wake up in the morning. We get in a car and we drive down the road and we automatically assume that there's nothing going to happen. I know we pray and we believe, but life is just finite, and we're not going to be on this earth forever because everything has its own season. Even Ecclesiastes 3 says, for everything, one says, for everything there's a season and a time under heaven. So we understand that everything has its own season and nothing on earth lasts forever. I watched a picture someone posted on Facebook of an old cap gun. I remember when I was growing up, that was like, that was better than anything you could, they got laser guns, laser tag and all that. When I was growing up, it was a little round red thing. You put it in and you put it in the gun and you fired, and sometimes it would pop and sometimes it wouldn't. But today, that's antique. That's old fashioned. I talked on yesterday about when I was in the Marine Corps, we used what we call the transport pack. They don't understand because things change and they evolve. The simple statement, everything changes, conveys a principle that can bring tremendous peace and understanding to us. If we understand that everything changes, we should be able to operate a little bit better in peace and understanding. If we accept the inevitable truth that nothing in our lives will remain the same. We can develop realistic levels of expectation and minimize our disappointment. I want to say that again. If we accept the inevitable truth, this is inevitable truth, that nothing in our lives will remain the same, we can develop levels of expectation and minimize our disappointments. We generally experience, and I'm going to talk about these in greater detail later on. We generally experience four types of changes in our life. Number one is change that happens around us. Like I said, I'll get into more details in a little bit. Change that helps us. Change that happens around us, rather. Change that happens to us. Change that happens within us. And change that we make happen. I'm going to say that again. There's generally in life, there's four types of changes that we deal with. Change that happens around us, change that happens to us, change that happens within us, and change that we make happen. And we will talk about that, like I said, in greater detail later. One of the greatest tragedies in life is that only a small percentage of the world population responds to change effectively. I need you to hear me. Only a small percentage of the world population respond to change effectively. Many people are victims of change. Some people dread change, and some people refuse to change. Some people dread change, and some people refuse to change. I know that as you get older and you get set in a certain way, change is harder when you're older than it is when you're younger. And then also, whether you're young or old, some people just refuse to change regardless of at all. They don't accept change. I don't care how good it is, how advanced technology is. There are some people I know, a particular person I know that had a church, and when the pandemic came, they didn't use social media because they didn't believe that they didn't accept social media. They didn't want to be on Facebook. They didn't want to be on Twitter. They didn't want to be on YouTube. And because of that, their ministry decreased because the people that was attached to them knew about the change. They wanted to see each other. They was only making phone calls. They missed that connection. Phone call ministries is fine, but there has to be some kind of, I have to see, just like here, you're seeing me, but I'm not seeing you. But I see your comments to know, all the way from North Carolina. All right, Terrence, I can see your comments. That lets me know that you're engaged with me. So you can see me. However, I can't see you because we're not on a Zoom. But there is interaction. If we were on a phone call, I couldn't see you. You couldn't see me, and you wouldn't know the inflections, or you would just have to go by the inflections of my voice and all of that. But we have to understand that change is necessary. These approaches are similar formulas, whether for frustration, depression, and wasted potential. I have to ask you a question. Are you teetering at the threshold of a new season? Are you teetering at the threshold of a new season? Change may make you feel more trepidation than trust. More trepidation than trust. Yet you can learn to embrace change with a positive attitude and use it to benefit your life as well as the lives of others. Change is good. Some change may not be good, but generally speaking, change is good. Perhaps you anticipate change in the future and are excited about it. As you hear me on these next couple of months and weeks, as we view this transition from about a new perspective, and you're discovering tremendous opportunities for you personally, professionally, during this season and the rest of this year and the rest of these next 2 months, because I believe the reason the Spirit of the Lord put this on my heart is because I believe that in the next 2 months, July and August, some of you are going to experience tremendous opportunities, both professionally, personally, and ministry-wise, because we know that 7 is a number of completion. That's July. August is 8. That's the number of new beginnings. So I'm believing, and I believe God has me on this journey to help you as you complete some things to go into a new beginning as you learn about how important change is to you. These new responsibilities hold an exciting destiny for you. There's some, don't be afraid of what's going to happen. There's some exciting destinies about to happen to you that you're about to go into, and be bold and embrace the next season of your life. I need you to be bold and embrace the next season of your life. I need you to look. We talked about it yesterday. Arise and go forward. I want you to be excited. I want you to just embrace it. I want you to just be bold about what God is about to do in these next couple of months as you grab a hold of what it is to make changes and how it's a benefit to you. And it's the only path to fulfilling your potential is being able to make these changes for the benefits. And your unique contribution to your generation comes in you being able to make changes. And the lost opportunities mean that the sacrifice of your destiny. If you don't make the changes, you could lose opportunities and you could sacrifice your destiny. I need to say that again. If you don't make changes, you could lose opportunities, and that would mean that you could sacrifice your destiny. And I don't want anybody to sacrifice their destiny, because we need to understand that Abraham Lincoln said it this way: the dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. No matter who you are, regardless of your country, race, ethnicity, language, disposition, time, change will affect you. Let me say that again. Regardless of who you are, of your country, your race, your ethnicity, your language, or your disposition, change will happen and affect you. Life is continually handling us personal, family, and community and national changes. You can see the changes that's happening even in the political system. When the Supreme Court, on one hand, they make decisions and people are happy. On another hand, they make other decisions and people are unhappy. But we have to understand that there's changes that are coming about. There used to be a dynamic where you could kind of count on things being kind of equal, but now it's looking like we're not playing on an equal playing field anymore. There's the whims of whoever is in authority or whoever has the power to make decisions that affect other people, and though other people that are being affected are not being considered. It's about what the political system, what the people want, what those that are in the lobbyists are lobbying for. And we need to understand that the political system, while there are people in office, there are lobbyists that are lobbying for their agenda. They're throwing money, they're throwing all these different things to get people to want to promote their agenda. So we need to understand that change is inevitable. Things are changing in our country, things are changing in our nation, and we need to understand. But regardless of that particular change, regardless of the political change, regardless of the Supreme Court justice changing and not understanding or doing things that maybe people don't like, you have to understand, and we need to put this out foremost and foremost as I go through this talking about change. God is still in control. I need you to hear me. God is in control. So regardless of the outside activities, God is still in control. We're living in a time when there is a convergence of worldwide change that is creating transitional tides in our own human history. We're experiencing changes on a big scale. And in response, we must understand that these changes and meet it effectively, our focus or the force of transition will pull us along, and we will have no influence in the midst of them. If we don't get a hold of the changes that are happening in our life, we're going to be forced into and pulled into things alongside of things that we don't want to be pulled into, and our influences, and we're going to be influenced and in the midst of things that we need to be changed. Historically, convergencies and traditional tides have occurred at a significant points throughout the ages. A historic convergence is a strategic plan of history when main events occur, bringing with them a monumental transformation in society, in economics, political, spiritual condition. In the past, some strategies changes have been welcomed by people while others have been dreaded. Certain changes happening right now. Certain changes have drawn mixed reactions, like things that are happening now from individuals. Unsettling times throughout history, and we're in unsettling times in this stage in history, has resulted in societal fear, about shootings, mass shooting, all kinds of things going on, racism, all economic problems, all those things are happening. Panic, distress, confusion. Many people were not prepared for the changes that are happening now. They went skipping through life, thinking that everything was going to be like before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, people had got comfortable. Before the pandemic, we had laid down in the grass. We put a blanket down. We bought our picnic basket. We brought sandwiches. We bought sodas and chips and ho-hos and cupcakes, and we laid down and we had a good time. We brought our blankets out at night. We went and looked up in the stars, and we were happy, and everything was going along, and we did not see or think or perceive or discover or even understand the storm that was about to happen when the pandemic hit. And we thought the pandemic was the bad situation. But after the pandemic, we are still dealing with the residues of what happened during the pandemic, those changes that happened during the pandemic. While we may not be all masked up, while we may not be pushing, getting shots 1, 2, 3, or 4, while they may not be telling about social distancing, you have to understand that the pandemic has caused some changes and some shifts that has caused us to have to look at life differently. They're already talking about the food shortages and how they're doing generated food. I don't know. I think there was a movie called Green. I can't remember the name of it, but they was making processed. They're doing it right now. Food that is genetically made, and it's already been approved by the FDA to be sold to us. Genetically designed food. That's the changes that we are facing, and that's the things that are happening in our lives that we need to make sure. While some people say, oh, that's a great benefit, we need to understand that not all changes are necessarily benefits, but the ones I want to talk to you about is going to be a benefit to us, but we need to be aware of. And when we look back the quarters of time, strategic plans in history, transitional periods occurred during the times known as the Dark Ages. And I don't know about you, but I think we're in one of those dark ages right now. We're in the dark age. We may not be have swords as long as this, and we may not be wearing Knights of the Round Tables, but we're in a dark age right now. The society that we're living in has so much going on in it, and there's so much corruption and so much inequalities. There's so much economic problems. We can't even. The places want to get to open up, but they can't get people. Nobody wants to work anymore. There's shortages in hospitals. There's shortages of doctors. There's shortages of people. They're doing what you call it when you go in like shadowing for teachers now. Just like when I was on the drill field, they would let us go and shadow other drill instructors before we got out of school so we could get an idea. So now they're having trainees going into school to learn how, so they can get them through the system faster. There's a shortage. Restaurants can't find enough people to serve or to cook or to wait. We're in a dire situation, and the changes are happening. And if we don't find a way by God to understand these changes, interns, thank you, Daisy, internships and teachers. We never had internships and teachers. They went to school, they took the test, and they became a teacher. Now they're doing internship. It's that way right now, but that's not my fight, and that's not my story. I want to talk to you about when I look at the 21st century, this is how I kind of see it in a sense. It's going to be a 21st century is going to be like known as a globalization, information, communication, mobilization, cultural diversification, mergers and networking. You're seeing it. Longevity of life. There are people that are actually living longer. Technology is getting better. We've got AI out there now. social and political transition, we're seeing it, and rapid transformation, we're seeing it. So when we look at the system, the umbrella in which we're under now, we can look at globalization. They're trying to make a one nation, we're all of us all together. Look at the discord that's in France and everywhere else. They're trying to make this globalization. The information in an information network, they're getting it out there. You can type in Google and get anything informational you need. Communication, you got all ways of communicating, whether you're on Zoom, whether you're on like now on the platform on StreamYard. There's all this out there. Mobilization, they're being mobilized to do things even better. Cultural diversification, they're trying to diversify the culture and make things that are not culturally understood to be culturally accepted. I'll leave that right there. Merging and networking, longevity of life and technology. All of these things are things that we are facing right now. Dwight D. Eisenhower said something, and it bears repeating. Neither a wise man nor a brave man lies down on the tracks of history to wait for the train of the future to run him over. Woo! Did you hear what I said? Neither a wise man nor a brave man lays down on the track of history to wait for the train of the future to run him over. We need to understand that these factors that are happening, these things are changing. George William, a Pulitzer Prize winner and journalist author, he said the future has a way of arriving unannounced. The future have a way of arriving. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Where you were looking at something and then all of a sudden, there you were. The future has a way of coming unannounced. And while we have billions of people on earth, there have been changes that some of them never saw coming. And I want to wrap this up with these 4 things. I told you I was going to talk about them more in detail. And so I want to talk about them right now. We experienced 4 distinct changes, and I said that in the beginning. So the first change I talked to you about was change that happens to us, unexpected or anticipated change that affects our personal lives, families, careers, and so forth. These are changes that happen to us. They are unexpected or unanticipated. We don't anticipate it, but they affect us personally. They affect our family, careers, and so forth. I'll give you an example in case you're not catch what I'm putting down. Here's what I mean. All right, you have, like for instance, we have a plane reservation in October to go to the National Christian Counseling Conference because we're accredited as Christian counselors, pastoral Christian counselors. We're certified through the National Christian Counseling Association. So, and I have a doctorate in Christian counseling. So we're certified. So we make our reservations. Now they send an email and tell us that the flight that we signed up for, the one that we paid for, has been changed. So we understood that. It was only a few minutes. Instead of leaving at 5:57, you leave at 6:02. So it was no big deal. But then they sent us another change saying that the change to the change had changed. It happened to us. We had no control of it. We wasn't expecting it. But there's something else that a part of that I need to say that I didn't find out either, is that when you get that change, you have 7 days to effectively say, hey, I don't like that. I want to do something else. Or else if you try to change it after the 7 days, then you're going to have to pay. But that's things that happen to us. We have no control over it. The second thing is changes that happen around us, unexpected and unanticipated changes that affect our society, nation, or world. The changes that are happening that in our society where the cultural of diversification has become a one-sided issue, where one group of people are now dominating the whole society and making it about them being not whatever. So we're in a place where things that are happening around us that we didn't anticipate it. We didn't see it coming. We didn't know that it was going to happen. It was unexpected. But here we are right now in this season where things are being forced on us that's happening around us. Number 3, changes that happens within us. These are the unexpected or changes that directly affect who we are, either physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritual. Things that happen within us, like when I ended up getting prostate cancer, that's something that happened within me. I didn't didn't write up for it. I didn't expect it. It came, and it affected me physically. When you have anxiety, that's something that affects you mentally. When you're upset about a lot of things, deaths in the family, that affects you emotionally. Or there's some loved one that is very sick and may transition. That's an emotional effect. Spiritually, you have been praying and believing, and now things are not happening the way you want them to happen, or you thought they were going to happen, and now you're having struggles with your spirituality and your belief in God. That's a spiritual changes that are affecting you. So these changes affect us. And number 4, changes that we initiate. These are some things that we create and alter plans we have implemented in order to move us forward from the present to preferred future. From the present to a preferred future. So I need to make some change. If I'm overweight, then I have to initiate some changes. Whether it's eating and exercising. If I'm having a problem with my kidneys and I need and the issue is not drinking enough water, I need to initiate drinking more water. I have to initiate these. These are things that I initiate in order to move me from my present situation, which is a lack, to my preferred future, which is a healthier person, which is a healthier me. All of those things are the things that we need to look at. And I want us to understand that as we look at those things, we can identify with each of the things that I just talked about as a distinct type of change, even though sometimes they may overlap between them. That there may be some overlap. There may be an overlap between what happens to us and then what happens around us. There may be an overlap of what happens around us to what happens within us. There may be an overlapping thing in the sense of what's happening within us to what we initiate. So these things are changed. But let me say this: change transports the present into the future that demands a response. I'm going to lay that out there. When we look at change, what are the real change transports the present into a future that demands a response. I need you to hear me. Change transports the present into a future that demands a response. We have to understand that change is going to demand. Often the response requires future changes from us. A lot of time the changes that is demanded for our present to move to our future, it happens with us. The fact of the needed changes may bring positive activity, excitement, anticipation, and energetic planning, or it may be a negative reaction, uncertainty, stress, emotional shutdown. How we react to change, and I'm gonna leave this right here, and we'll pick it up next Monday. How we react to change has greater consequences to us than we may realize. How we react to change has greater reactions to us than we may even realize. That's so powerful. And next week I'm gonna take a thing from the movie Shang-Chi Redemption, and I'm going to talk about change and that response. Well, I pray that you've been blessed by this. I pray that you continue to get on Mondays and hear what we talk about. This is a series I believe God wants me to do right now. On Wednesdays, we're talking about unmasking in the series for the month of July. But here God told me on Manifest Monday not to just start talking about things, but I have a specific mandate from God to talk to you about change, because I truly believe as we're in this 7th month, which is the month of completion. The number 7 is the month of completion, moving into the 8th month, which is August, which is 8 is the number of man. I think that I know that God is putting this in my spirit, that we need to know about change, because there's changes already happening. Now we got to figure out how we are going to be able to get through this. And ultimately, as Daisy has put in the notes, ultimately, we have to understand this. Regardless of all the things I'm going to talk to you about over the next couple of months, over the next 2 months, we're going to talk about responding, protection against change, maximizing critical change. We're going to be talking about the purpose of change. We're going to be talking about the nature and the characteristics of seasons of change. And depending on how far we get, we may talk about the 10 ways leaders can respond to change, when you need to correct your course as it relates to change, changes challenges of change. So we got a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but I'm going to be specific and directive about what I'm going to say, because I want to make sure that you get the whole gist of what it is I want to talk to you about. All right. It's been a blessing. I love you. I pray that you'll be back on. I'm out of minutes, but I'm not out of message. So I'll see you next week. Thank you, as always, Daisy, for your excellent note taking. And remember, God is in control. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And at the place where I preach the most, I'll leave you with this. Let's go to work, get it done, and let's make some changes.